What's good, brothers? Today, I want to ask you guys, have you ever tried to go after that girl that you had your eye on, that you've been wanting, and you approach her and you do literally everything that you have heard or seen that women want you to do when you were coming after them, only to be rejected? And then later on, find out that she picked some bad boy, some ain't shit dude out there, and then she spins the block to you, back to you later, maybe years later, 4 dudes later, 4 babies later, and you really are still bothered by it because you were, probably sad, your world was probably shaking, and you're probably disheartened to see what happened in the decision that she made. And you're like, you literally did everything right, and you have no idea why it didn't work and why the other guy that they say that they don't want is who she ended up going with. And, you end up as a solution to what you saw happen, end up starting to try to become that same ain't-ish dude or that bad boy, whatever it is. And that's the solution that most dudes go to. But today, we're going to talk about a different route, a different option that you can pursue so that you don't have to deal with most of the problems that come with that. So, welcome to the My Brother's Keeper podcast. I'm Will Frazier, and we're going to get into just what you need to do in just a minute after we cover a few things. And, if you are a sister watching this, make sure that you get this video to a brother who might be in need of this information, that might be going through this situation, because I can guarantee you that he can definitely use this help. So let's go ahead and let's just dive straight into what we need to be thinking about in this topic. So first off, let's kind of talk about these choices that women make while they're out there, in the dating pool, right? And this could be in the college years or so that we'll go with, and sometimes you might see it, depending on how old you are, you might see it before this. And you're definitely probably going to see it after that, after the college years as well. But the bad boys, right? It's a known thing that most women, whether women would admit this or not, most of us dudes know that women usually choose to go with the bad guy. They usually choose to go with, they are usually going to be a bad guy, but I'm talking about the bad boy type. Or they're going to go with the ain't-ish dude. That's usually what we see happen when women are making their picks and their choices of who they want to date and who they want to deal with, right? And I've had this happen to me personally. I remember at one point I was, just out there single, out with my homies. And there was this girl that I had saw. I was into her and interested in her. And I decided to, go after her. And when I went after her, I, at that point in time, I was still, I was still out there doing my thing. I'll say it like that. And I just saw this one woman and I was like, okay, this is somebody that I would actually date. Like, I liked her that much. So when I went ahead and pursued her, got the number and all of that stuff, and then I ended up, wanting to take her out on a date. That wasn't something I was really doing at the time. So because I wanted this woman, I was willing to do that. And I did all of the nice gentlemanly things, paying for things, opening doors, car doors, doors to go in, where we going at, all of this good stuff. Not making it a point to try to smash, which is, what most dudes are going to try to do. So I was intentionally going about this thing in the right way, doing what a good dude is supposed to do, doing the things that women say they want to do. And what I saw was that I really wasn't making much traction at all. And I really wasn't feeling like a pull or connection towards me or anything like that from this person. Mind you, whenever I wasn't doing that, everything would click and go right the way that I wanted it to go. But when I'm trying to do all of the right things, all of the good things, it went absolutely pretty much nowhere, right? And then I was like, with me, I would take it to a certain point and I'd be like, okay, this ain't going nowhere. I'm finna stop doing this because I ain't finna be wasting my time, my energy, and my money if this ain't going anywhere. So I pulled out, I chilled out, and I wasn't even worried about it no more. Right. But at a later point, later time, I ended up seeing that um, this person was actually talking to, not really dating, but uh doing their thing with a dude that I actually knew. Like we wasn't like super tight homeboys or nothing like that, but we knew of each other. And I ended up hearing that he was, doing his thing with this particular young lady, right? So in hearing that, and I know that this dude, I know he was out here doing his thing, as he pleased. And he's dealing with her. She's one on the list. And I'm aware of this and I'm like, dang, I did everything right and I wasn't getting nowhere. And here this dude comes. I know he ain't doing nothing that I was doing, and yet he is getting um ultimately things that I wanted to get from this young lady, right? And that's usually how this story plays out. It could be very different in different scenarios, but this is usually the foundation of how things go. Now, after seeing that, it immediately made me think in my mind, okay, so I do all the things right and I get absolutely nowhere. And when I'm not doing that, I get the things that I want. So, and other dudes, when they are acting the same way, they also get those same things. So it led me to do nothing but conclude, especially after testing this scenario out and seeing if it was true in more than one situation. And when I saw that it was true in more than one situation, not only for me, but my homies and other dudes around me, I was like, okay, this is what you have to do in order to get any type of traction. They say they want this, yet they respond to the total opposite. As a matter of fact, the things they say they don't want is what they respond to. So this is what I got from that scenario. And what I ended up seeing again is what most women are gonna do is they're gonna go for the bad boy. And then what ends up happening, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a bad boy like he a thug, like he was sagging pants, tattoos everywhere. It don't have to be the bad boy like that. It can also be just the ain't ish, dude. It could be the pretty boy that have a whole lot of girls in his corner. It could be a whole lot of different scenarios, but it's usually the dude that is not doing the things that women say that they want from a mate, right? That's what I'm talking about. And then what ends up happening is you know, because and I don't think women know that we are seeing them make these types of decisions and we're analyzing these things like this. It seems like they don't, but they end up dealing with these dudes, right? And these dudes don't want anything from them but one thing. And then what ends up happening is they end up having a kid. Hopefully they don't slip up and have a kid, but they end up usually having a kid by the same dude who don't want nothing from them, and of course they're not gonna want nothing from them after they end up having a kid, and they gotta hope that the dude is gonna want to be there with them and the kid, and be there for the child and all of that. So all of this is happening, and now, the woman's stacking up babies. She's going on to the next dude because this dude didn't act right. And, she's probably going to another dude that is probably not 100% like him, but, similar to him, maybe a little bit different in a few areas, but at the foundation, still wants the same thing, still doing the same things. And these red flags are getting ignored. And then, boom, situation happens all over again with another dude. Now you two baby daddies in, you two babies in. You get where I'm where I'm going with this. Ugh, I need some water. But basically, this continues on until they're like in their 30s. Hopefully, excuse me. Hopefully before then. And then that's usually when they're gonna realize that they've actually made a mistake. And then what they should have actually done is, went with one of those good dudes that were trying to give them the time of day and trying to be the good dude to them. And they usually don't realize this until, the mistakes, until some permanent things that they didn't want to happen. I don't want to say mistakes because if you have a child, that's not, a mistake. And the child isn't a mistake, and the child is here, so the child's supposed to be here, right? So they made some decisions that they didn't necessarily want to have happened, or that they probably wish would have went a different way, or probably wish it would have happened with a different dude. And they realized this later on, and now, they're back in the dating market, and you're looking at the same person that maybe, rejected you in the past, and now they're coming to you. And if you accept them, then you have extra things that you have to deal with to move forward in that situation, right? So this is what happens a lot of times. And even if they don't come back to you, some other guy out there in a dating market that is going to end up, looking at potentially dating this woman, and, having to, work with her with whatever things may have transpired with the wrong people while she was going through that journey, right? So let's take a look at what this does to good men a little bit deeper, right? So besides us seeing these decisions that they're making, with seeing the decisions that they are out here making and looking at them and analyzing them, you know, you also see a few things, and I've heard these things before too. You usually see that this thing about submissiveness. You usually see a woman being submissive to these same dudes that aren't really trying to give them a relationship. You see them running behind and holding on to them longer than they should, regardless of what they're doing and how they're acting. And that submissiveness is something that most dudes want. That pretty much all dudes would like their wife or their woman to 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 show them. They would want them to show them submissiveness in the relationship. And these dudes that are usually doing all of the wrong things, you see them receiving this submissiveness and this desire to want to be around them and connect with them. And you see them, of course, giving them all of the sex that they want, and trying to hold on to them by those means, I assume. And in some instances, hopefully not, trying to get them to have a baby with them in hopes that it's going to change the man and make him want to be with them and all of that good stuff, which we know doesn't work at all. So, we see that these dudes that are doing all the wrong things are receiving all of these things that men want from the women, right? So what does that do? That pretty much reinforces what we have been raised seeing on TV. Now, I grew up in an era where Cash Money was taken over from the 99 and the 2000, on up through that. And I'm from New Orleans too, so I got to see a whole lot of that from them, and Cash Money, No Limit, all those dudes coming up in the rap industry and all that stuff. The dudes that was put heavily on TV, besides NBA stars and stuff like that. When you look at TV and most of what it's going to promote and push in our music, it tells little boys and young men that in order to get women, you have to have a lot of money. You have to have nice cars. You have to have a big house. You have to look like a thug or bad boy. And pretty much you should take advantage of as many women as gonna come to you while you're flashing all these things out. So you're being shown all of these things on TV that this is how you get women. This is what women respond to. If you have all these things, you will have all the women, right? Um, and in seeing that on TV and then looking in real life, and even if you weren't affected by what you saw on TV, you try to approach a girl or a woman that you want, and then you end up getting rejected doing the good things, and then you see that they respond to all of the bad things, and everything that you want as a dude is being given to these dudes who ain't ish and ain't trying to be ish. It reinforces the fact that, whoa, this isn't just what I'm seeing on TV. This is what's happening in real life. And you know, if a woman is seeing this, your son is growing up. I'm telling you what I saw growing up. it's even worse these days. And little young men, your sons, are seeing more of this stuff on TV. And if they see their mom um, giving in and doing all these things for the same type of dude, and that's gonna send a message to them. And then when they grow up and they get into the real, world, and they start interacting with other people's daughters, maybe even your daughters, and your daughters are acting this way too, then that's going to show this young man that, hey, this is how you get what you want. You want women, we're telling you, on TV that you should want a whole bunch of women. This is how you get them. And it perpetuates the focus on this thing, and it feeds into itself, and it keeps this same type of thinking going on out there in the dating pool, right? So, um, and sex is the thing that's heavily promoted. And if you're seeing that everybody that's getting sex, the thing that you want, all the men that are getting it are acting this way, then it's gonna make you want to act that way in order to get it too. And of course, this isn't gonna be like that for 100% of men. It's not like that, but it is like that for the majority. So this ultimately leads. This is why the good guys, the good men, turn into the bad guy, the ain't shit dude, just so that he can have a chance in trying to get interactions with women, because getting more interactions with women is what's heavily promoted. Getting more sex from women is what's heavily promoted. If you want to get a woman, you know, acting in this way is what's promoted. And this is, really tragic that it leads us to that thinking and the actions that come with that thinking. It's just real sad to me because I hate to see that happen. I hate that I fell into that trap, and I hate to see my brothers fall into the same trap as well. So, what I wanted to tell you guys is that black men, my brothers that's out there, don't let women change you in this way, because it's not going to be beneficial for you. It's not going to be beneficial to the woman that you deal with after that. It's not going to be beneficial for our community as a whole, as it is already proven not to be helpful at all. And you can look at our community and all the different stats that I've covered and talked about where we struggle in, that show that our current way of interacting with each other and behaving is not helping us as a community, right? So as soon as you change and become this ain't ish dude, you end up validating the stereotypes that black men already have. Y'all already know that they think that that's all we do is we chase punani, we chase the WAP. That's all we are focused on. That's all we think about. We cheating out there to get it. We just being promiscuous out there getting it. That's the only focus is on our mind. We don't make a whole lot of money because we always focus on that. Like that, it feeds all into the stereotype of that. And don't, let's not get started on faking and using up our money, our little bit of money and resources that we might have as a man, just to try to get certain items to make it look like we have it, just to try to get women. And then we're going broke just to get, get some sex, get laid. And then we have to recoup that money, or we ended up in a bad financial situation just to try to impress women, just to get sex. And, ultimately that's going to lead you to nowhere as well, right? So we can't keep validating that stereotype. You're basically falling into the trap that culture has set for you. It is set for you, for me, because it's obvious that certain things get pushed and promoted towards us. And that is why most of the people, black men that we see on TV, unless they're playing sports, you're usually not seeing them in a positive light, and you're usually seeing them doing things that perpetuate the stereotype. And even some of the NBA, NFL players, you see them getting caught in scandals where they are also doing all of the same things that have been, pushed on and perpetuated to us, that we act out and that we participate in, which is the problem. And while you're doing all of that, after you changed into this ain't ish dude, and you're out there doing what ain't ish dudes do, just trying to get as much sex from as many women as you can, hopefully you don't end up leaving a whole lot of babies around. and you're getting these women pregnant. You leaving these babies around unfathered, accidentally or on purpose, however it happens. It's not a good look for us. It's what we are known for, and we don't need more of us out there perpetuating that and acting that out. Um, you know, and not to mention you're damaging women. You're damaging the women that you're dealing with while you're out there doing that. Because of course, when they're giving all this energy, um, and trying to give all this trust into you as a black man, and they're running behind you, and then you're constantly either cheating on them or dealing with other women, you're getting them pregnant, leaving them with babies. Like I said, that damages the woman emotionally, spiritually, physically in some ways. Like all of these things end up doing damage to that woman and to the possible babies that might be out there. And then guess what? Another good dude. Now you're probably just thinking about yourself, right, and what you want and what you need. But it's another good dude out there, just like you were, that has to deal with the damage that you have done to this woman. Because as we have seen, if you were a good dude and acting as such before you changed it to being an ain't-ish dude, then what you have seen is that when you're a good dude and then you deal with a woman that has been damaged by a dude like that, everything that was given up to the ain't-ish dude, um, easily, giving him all the sex, all the submissiveness, you automatically get none of that as a good dude, which is another travesty. It's sad because you're trying to be a good dude and do what women would like a man to do uh, towards them, and yet you get met with opposition. You get met with resistance. You get met with walls. Um, just like they would give up the sex to that dude easy, you have to now work for it. The good dudes have to work for things that the bad dudes are given on a platter. It's sad. And all it does is show good dudes that I just need to do what these other dudes do. And you don't want to be the dude that is causing all of the next good dudes that approach this woman to have to work harder, because then guess what that does? That feeds the machine. Now you're giving another reason for more dudes to have to see that they need to change versus, not making it harder for other dudes out here that's trying to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So you got to not just think about yourself and what you want. You have to think about what damage you're causing out there in the dating pool once you're done dealing with this woman, or you've gotten what you want from her. Some other dude is going to have to pick up the pieces, or just deal with so much more resistance and opposition, causing more problems and more perpetuating of our stereotype when that dude and the dude after him changes, to try to meet his needs, just as you were trying to do. Now, there's also scripture on this that I wanted to share with you, just to perpetuate to you why you shouldn't do this. So this is us going back to the manufacturer, going to God and see what he says about this kind of thing. So in First Corinthians 6:15, know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them the members of a harlot? God forbid. So your body is connected to Christ. So he's saying in this verse, should he connect your body to a harlot? And you know what that is, instead of Christ? Okay, let's continue. What know ye not, that he which is joined to a harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall become one flesh. When you have sex with a woman, y'all become one. I know don't nobody live like that, think about that to this day, but you are becoming one, and you need to be that doesn't just count with your wife. When you get married, like when you are having sex with somebody, you are becoming one with that person. Because if you don't know, the way that they consummated their marriages in antiquity was through sex. Once you did that, you were married to that person. It wasn't you're not married until you go down to the court and get some paper signed and have a ceremony. Nah, that wasn't the marriage. The marriage is that. So you are literally marrying yourself to a harlot. And It depends on, and this is just talking about you just going out there with any random old person that's out there just trying to get as much vagina as you can, you know. So let's continue. But he that is joined unto but he that is joined, I'm sorry, this is verse 17, but he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. So when you're joined to the Lord, you become one spirit with him. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committed fornication sinned against his own body. So this is the only sin that you do that is committing a sin against your own body. Your own body. Now, let's continue. What know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own. And ye are not your own. So basically, your body isn't even your body, it's God's body. God gave it to you. God body. So while you out there fornicating, which is a sin and is the sin that you commit against your body, which was given to you by God, you have to realize God gave you that thing. God can snatch that thing up out of you at up off you at any point in time he wants to. If he wants to let a disease come to you in your body, he can do that whenever he wants to. This is not your body. This is God's body. You using it while you're here. So you have to take care to not sin against your own body while also sinning against God through fornication. So this is important. I know nobody wants to hear this. I know no dudes want to think about this because you already know what you want. You know who you smashing right now. You know who you got planned, lined up for the week to go ahead and get it on with this week and all of that good stuff. So I know you out here trying to get that. My point to you is these are things that you got to think about because every action that you take has a consequence, and you need to be careful about what you're doing with God property. That's all I'm saying, my brother. And I've been out there myself too. I ain't condemning nobody or judging nobody, so I get it. But at the same time, when you have knowledge of a better way to operate and what to do, you have to look at it, consider it, and if how you move after that determines how God moves with you. That's all I'm saying. And real quick, 1 Corinthians 7:2, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. So to avoid fornication, get you a wife. That's where all of these things are supposed to be going down anyway. When you got your own wife, you have all of the good things that come with having a wife, and that is your person to have sex with without going against your body. That's who you want to connect yourself to and be one with, not just anybody, out here in the streets. And yeah, like use God's vessels, how he's designed them to work and in the way that he told us to. Don't just be out here sinning and thinking you can wake up tomorrow and say, God forgive me, and then that's it. And it don't work like that, brother. Let me tell you. But that's for another day. But basically, you have bigger fish. You have bigger fish to fry than to be worried about only getting sex all day, and and changing how you operate in this world because of something that a woman did to you, brother. That is, you have bigger fish to fry than that. And you should not be out here in the world operating similar to an animal. You should know that God created you different than he created the animals. Animals literally walk around here every day trying to figure out where they gonna get their next meal from. And other than, laying around a building doing whatever work an animal might have to do, like a bird building the nest or, something like that. They worry about sex and eating. That is all they do, and that is all they think about, all they function in doing. I'm oversimplifying it, but you get what I'm saying. You are a human being. You are created with a greater purpose in mind. You have greater tools and skills to be utilized, and you have some type of purpose that God has put you on this earth for. So you should not be roaming the earth thinking as simply as a animal would, only being focused on simple things. Those things are a part of life, but you have more important things to be focused on than to let a woman that rejected you change you into this person that is going to go out here and sow bad seeds into the world, making it harder for other brothers that are out here, damaging women, leaving children out here unfathered potentially, because some of you guys might actually cover your bases there in being a father, but not being married and being in a home and having a family with these multiple children that could be out there. That's not something that you want to do, brother. That's all I'm saying. So your focus should be on finding a wife. And key words there is finding a wife, because the person that you found, if that's how they was thinking and you wanted this woman and she was focused on all these other things that were not going to lead her closer to her purpose because she's worried about um, the bad dudes, these ain't ish dudes that are out there, because as quiet as it's kept, a lot of women out there are out there roaming around and just want no commitment, and they just want a bunch of sex. As a matter of fact, having lower standards for the men they have sex with than the standards that they have for marriage, meaning that it's easier for them to have sex than it is to, or they'll have more sex and they'll have it more quickly with the wrong people because they have lowered their standards uh in the sex area, and it's going to be harder to obtain the marriage because they have such high and unrealistic expectations in a lot of cases, not all the cases, but in a lot of cases, for the person that they want to marry. And the standards should be high on both ends so that these sisters can protect themselves from dealing with brothers that are like that as well. And besides finding a wife, and the woman should already be acting wifely. She should already have the characteristics of what a wife should be when you meet her, because you find a wife. You don't find a girlfriend and she turns into a wife. The Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So you should find a woman that is already a wife, right? And of course there might be some exceptions there, but you get what I'm saying. Now, other than that, you should be focusing on increasing your income and working in your purpose, your passion, finding out what God put you on this earth for. That's what you're here to do. You're not here to act in animalistic ways. You're here to do what humans do, which is ultimately what we should be trying to do. And that's finding your purpose and operating in that and earning a lot of money while you're doing that, while you're here on this earth. And also, I want you to think about this. While we're talking about a woman that may have rejected, overlooked you for the wrong type of dude, what woman is out there that you might already know of that is a wifely woman that you might be overlooking because you looking at uh the wrong aesthetics that's pulling you in and making you want somebody that don't really want you? Is there a woman out there that is actually a good woman and you're overlooking her because she is a wifely woman and maybe she's not uh as spicy acting as some of these women that are out there, or she doesn't dress like some of the women that you like to see. Maybe you're looking at some wrong characteristics to try to pick who you want, and you're overlooking some gems that might be right under your nose. I would challenge you to take a look at yourself, and while you are focusing on trying to find a wife and operating in your purpose and, getting your bag, making your income increase, you are looking to make sure that you are looking for the gems that might be under your nose so that you're not doing the same thing to a sister that's out there who will be a good woman to you, a good wife to you. I want you guys to be focused on the right things, not the wrong things, stay away from what the culture is trying to steer you to, because almost always it's gonna be a trap. So if you can do what I'm saying, if you feel what I'm saying, hit the like button on this video. And I would appreciate you guys watching some more of the podcast videos, because there's some other good information that might help you as well. But I appreciate you for your time today. Again, this is My Brother's Keeper, and I am Will Frazier. The whole purpose of this podcast is to help my brothers by being my brother's keeper and showing us that we need to be each other's brother's keeper, and holding each other accountable and raising the standard that we have for each other and ourselves personally, so that we can change the image that we have out here in the world and amongst the people and in the community. And we can be viewed in a better light, and so that we can start improving in all of the areas that we currently suffer in or are lacking in statistically out there in the world. So thank you for being here today, and I'll see you next time.